Game ideas are worthless, and you guys have even worse game ideas than us sometimes. So we figured let's make fun of them. We asked you guys in our Discord server, which you should join by the way, to submit your awesome game ideas and then we can roast the shit out of them. I think I have Thomas here, of course, who is a top tier roaster if you ask me, because he hates everything that I ever proposed to him. And I think maybe we should first decide what are we roasting them on. I think a big one that you always complain about is hook. It's like, oh, this game has no hook, go kill yourself. What else should we...
Marketability, for sure.
Like just from the idea and like the viewpoint. I asked you guys to do the viewpoint. Some of you guys
didn't. If they say I make
it.
a 2D platformer and that's my ID, thumbs down immediately. Just like, you know that in like the Got Talent store, so for America's Hotel, Belgi's Got Talent, they have like the buzzers. It just immediately press buzzer and gone.
You get launched into a pool with toxic waste if you have a bad idea.
Sure.
Also, just I think the game itself, does it sound interesting?
Yeah.
Because you can have a good hook,
itself.
but if like it's just another like boring game, maybe not, and just vibes, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is a very subjective.
This is a very subjective video. Also, I want to get this out of the way first. People are like, oh, how dare you share your game ideas? What if someone steals it? I want to see you guys try. We've talked about this before as well, where you can give us a game idea, and the idea that we have when we're roasting your game idea probably is already going to be different than what you had when you originally wrote this. At the end of the day, there are so many unique ways to still take that same idea and implement it. So don't be scared to go and share your game ideas, because it's better to get feedback to find which parts are bad and adapt onto that, versus hiding in your little corner and being like, nobody is ever allowed to know about my awesome game idea.
Yeah, and then you come out with your great game idea, well, you think is great and no one is interested and you wasted 7 years of your life. Good job, bro.
Yeah. So I have a list here, and I'm gonna read these to you. You should not watch them.
Sure.
And I just want to get your reaction. The first one we're going in hard is a VR omnidirectional treadmill Sonic the Hedgehog game where you play as Sonic.
It has a hook. I also think it has like the most niche market ever, because first of all you need an omnidirectional treadmill.
Yeah, it's for like those American arcades where they have like 2 of those.
Yeah, I mean, for if you like want to release it on Steam, F tier. If you want to make it like what company owns Sonic? Sega.
Yeah.
So do they have like a theme park? If you're Sega and you want to open a theme park, S tier ID actually.
Yeah, I think also as an indie dev, like making Sonic games, it's IP. There's a recent indie game that was like, let's take Sonic, but without the Sonic, and then you get like Rolling Rascals is the name for it. You can make similar styled games, but you cannot use the Sonic IP most likely if you're an indie game dev.
Also like Palworld and Pokemon.
Yeah, like that, and then hope that Sega doesn't one day
maybe
like,
don't do it with the IP of Nintendo.
Yeah, just stay away from Nintendo. So hook is good. I think execution is like impossible to do well. Also,
how do you make it fun? At the end, I'm just running on a treadmill.
Yeah, because like Sonic as well.
Also,
he
rolls, so I have to roll.
He goes like so fast, and at the end of the day, you're just running, and like, you're not even running because most likely you're a gamer and you can run for like 2 minutes, and it's like, I want to die. You start puking. Whereas like the whole thing with Sonic is like that speed and scale.
Yeah, and if you were to actually like make it go faster in game than in real life, it is a vomit simulator.
Yeah, that's another thing, like VR motion sickness. Oh god, this idea needs a lot of extra time to cook. I'm sorry.
You have a hook.
That's all though. Next up, I have a co-op action hack and slash game where each level has a boss with dynamic difficulty. Depending on how much time you take to reach it and how many enemies you have killed on the way, will change the HP, damage and mechanics of the boss. So I guess kind of a hack and slash X boss rush style game where the bosses are still very dominant. The thing I'm missing here is...
It doesn't say a lot about the game. It's
what makes it special? I feel like, isn't this just dynamic? Doesn't Skyrim have this basically almost, where they have the dynamic difficulty? Or that's level like based, right?
Yeah, and they don't do it for like with the mechanics, because here they say like HP, damage, and mechanics. So the mechanics part is unique.
Yeah, they get like more complicated.
But what I'm missing here is more about the gameplay loop.
Yeah, what is the setting?
It's like a mechanic in a game. It's not a game on itself.
Yeah, this could not stand on its own. Oh, this is also like, I feel like this is not super unique at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, maybe only the mechanics maybe, but
like the different boss mechanics depending, but it's like on the other hand, you can have like certain bosses where you can skip the mechanics if you like, for example, the Breath of the Wild like final boss. You can either go immediately for it or you can like skip part of the fight. That's also difficulty based on mechanics, I feel, where like you can just skip certain parts. I don't know if that's the best approach, but I definitely miss a setting here. I miss is this like a dark medieval inspired? Is this a sci-fi game? Whatever. What's the viewpoint? What's all of that? I'm missing that here.
Yeah, the first example we had with Sonic, we could imagine the game.
Yeah.
Now it's just
I can't imagine the game.
Yeah,
really
I can't
here.
picture it in front of me. Like I have a TV standing there. I can't see it on the TV. Not because it's off. The TV is off, but because
it doesn't speak to the imagination.
Yeah.
I can't see how the gameplay would work and what would make it stand out, I guess. And I think also marketability-wise, it's not something visual. So the mechanic is not giving you much visual appeal to people playing the game. This is something that if you make a trailer, you would almost have to explain with text on the screen, and that's not good for marketing either.
Yeah, and like you said, I always complain to you about the hook and so on. You cannot in one sentence explain the game to me, in my opinion.
This would be like a side thing basically, but the hook had to be a completely different game also.
This is more like your USP, I would say, if it's actually unique.
So what is the next step for this developer?
Get a new ID. No, flesh it out more.
Get an actual idea and then incorporate this mechanic into it.
Find a setting, find something that first of all catches the attention from people, because you need more time to explain this to the audience, but you first need to get their attention. If you start going on a rant for 3 pages,
you
this
start
is the game ID,
all of the
then
mechanics.
it's after 2 seconds they're gone. So you need to have a 1 sentence, 2 sentence way to just get their attention, get them interested, hooked. That's why it's called a hook. And then you can explain your mechanics.
Okay, speaking of mechanics, this one is, I think, a more good approach. A Lethal Company-inspired co-op horror game. You're in a procedurally generated backrooms map and have to collect research for a mysterious company. The server you are in is online, meaning you could stumble across other research teams and choose to help or harm them. You can also easily get lost and randomly teleported away from your team. Your sanity will lower, and if it turns to 0, you die and your body, AI controlled, turns into a mimic. I feel like the first half I was down. The second half you kind of lost me with everything being stacked on top of each other. Like the co-op backrooms inspired horror game, that on its own is a banger, I think. It already exists kind of, but it's still a genre that, as we have seen with games like Murky Divers and Lethal Company, Content Warning, there is an interest for it. I think it's even Escape the Backrooms.
Yeah. The biggest problem I have with this is, okay, we didn't originally say we were going to quote on this.
We can change.
Grade on this.
It's our video.
But this sounds like a whole lot of work. This is not an indie game, I feel. And if it is, it's a long scope.
It started as the procedurally generated backrooms.
Yeah, but
fine.
on top and on top.
And
on
then
top,
you get the server always online is a thing, and then it's you make it both. You start with that whole psychological thing of make it both PvP and you could cooperate together. I think that's all right, but then it's if you die, you have the AI controlled mimics and all of that.
Generally, I think the idea is all right. It's probably the best idea we had so far, which is also saying something. But I would find a way to narrow down your scope
a lot before you do it.
Because first, the previous one as well, but we were going on other things. It was it started with co-op, and it's okay, for this game, I understand why you would say co-op.
Co-op horror is a really good approach.
Yeah, so I like it. But then it's why do you need the extra 10 things? Maybe reconsider?
Yeah, it's would all of that extra be core to your game, or are you making a horror game at the end of the day? Are you making more of an online experience kind of game? And all of that? So scope it down, I think. Find a few core mechanics, kill some of the other ones, like the AI mimics and things like that. I feel like you're going way over at that point.
Yeah. Do you have a good hook for this? I think you could find one. I'm not seeing it necessarily immediately, but I think you could find a good 1 sentence or 2 sentence hook.
I mean, it's a horror game at the end of the day, so standards are lower. All you need is to have some cool enemies, put them on your capsule, make a loud, screamy trailer. Marketing this game, I think, would be relatively easy.
Yeah, especially because you can also show the multiplayer and so the co-op.
Yeah, there's a lot of horror slop at the end of the day on Steam. It still sells just because of the fact that it's horror slop. So
yeah, I think this is the best one so far.
Okay, you will not say that about the next one.
Oof.
A 2D puzzle platformer set in space where the puzzles are gravity-based on the conditions of each planet. I like how the guy did his hook very short, and I understand the game he's going for.
Yeah, I understand the game. But first of all,
that was the good thing we had to say about it.
First of all, I'll go from back to the front, from what I remember.
Okay.
Gravity-based.
Yeah.
Every game is gravity-based.
Yeah, but different planets. So in Super Mario Galaxy, you have the same thing where different planets have different effects.
So one time it's 9.81 Newton force or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then another is 20 and... Okay, sure. That already exists.
Yeah.
2D. I'm sorry, I said this before. 2D, in my opinion, I stand by it. A lot of people hate my statement. I think 2D really devalues your game. If you have 2D art, it's way harder to sell it for a larger price. And of course there are exceptions, but you're not the exception. You're the average indie just like us, or even below average just like us.
It's not just harder to sell for like a specific price, like $10 or whatever, also harder to market.
Yeah.
Also, my brother in Christ, it's 2025. Have you seen what Unreal can do? Why do you want to go back to shitty cartoon pack like sprites?
Because they use Godot.
I think, yeah, the gravity thing is indeed, like you said, the original pitch when I heard it was like, oh yeah, this is okay. But now, yeah, gravity is not that, like, unless you would have like the comic gravity where you jump between planets already.
Oh.
But I don't think that is like the additional, like, you know, you have the two planets that are close enough where like if you jump high enough, you go into the other planet's gravity field and you go upside down basically.
That sounds like a more fun game already, but that's not what he's going
for,
I think.
I feel
also, just 2D platformer. Like, do you hate money?
Oh wait, it says that are gravity based / based on the conditions of each planet. So maybe there could be one like Venus where you have to make sure that you don't burn to a crisp. Or like you have like the gas giant planets where you like have the floating platforms and you can't fall. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day it's more of a skinned version of platformers. It's a platformers, guys. It's 2025 soon. Yeah. Don't do it.
Don't be an idiot and say platformers are S tier. We've made that mistake before. It is not.
Yeah.
I think, like, you can pull up the stat on screen right now how horrible it is to sell like platformers on the medium base.
It's really rough right now.
It's like the worst genre.
It's like 10 years ago, yeah, Limbo made $3 gazillion and Hollow Knight, but we're 10 years later at this point. It's not the same. We look at the
and Hollow Knight is not just a platform, it's a Metroidvania, and Hollow Knight Silksong is the most wishlisted game, sure, and it will sell well, but you're not making that.
A spontaneous combustion dating sim where your various dates you meet the most have an increased... What is this English, my dude?
You can do it.
No, it's just how he wrote it. A spontaneous combustion dating sim where the various dates you meet have an increased chance to explode. It's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. I think that is the deepest quote I've ever heard from a viewer of ours. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's finally a take above room temperature IQ.
I think the game idea, like how you pitch it, though, I do not see how this would work.
It has a unique hook, that's for sure.
Oh, where you maybe like see them explode.
Yeah, because it's like cute dates, like, oh, happy, boom. I think it's actually a really funny idea. Okay. Would I buy it? Probably not, but I'm not a target audience. Yeah. But I could see this work.
Yeah, I think the exact mechanic of like, how do you make sure that they do or don't explode? That implementation leaves a bit to be like seen. How do we do it?
Yeah, you have to take into consideration that it's like, be careful with it because you will also piss off a lot of people.
Yeah, you are killing like hotties.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I really care about this. This is my favorite character, and it's gone.
Yeah, but it's better to have loved.
Yeah, I mean,
than to never have loved at all.
So you just want to make people cry.
That's the thing with certain games. That's the entire point.
That's basically what UPT did to some people.
So marketability, I think we're solid there. Wow, the vibes are good. I think this is I think it's a decent idea. The visuals, I think, are a big difference as well. Is this 2D, 3D? I feel like this would be 2D.
No, I think it's
if you want to do the explosions.
Yeah. Yes, it's like how I imagine this dating sim is basically a visual novel, right?
Yeah, often.
Okay, often. Well, that's basically how I see it. You can make it in what is Renpai or something, and just 2D. Make sure you're an artist and you can make it well. And I think you have something decent. Yeah,
I think like your general marketing is going to be a bit different, but this is not that bad of an idea. No, I think it's a good hook.
Yeah, I like it.
A rhythm horror game set in a virtual reality landscape. My God, they are just going for all of the bad ones now. Where if the player misses a beat, the scene will get darker. Player must keep the beat to keep the lights on. So basically, Beat Saber but horror is how you could have said this. I feel. Rhythm games,
but is it
virtual reality?
But is it then rhythm, as in like Beat Saber? You can play with multiple people. Is it?
We play Beat Saber with mods with multiple people. It's not officially supported.
Oh, doesn't it have multiplayer?
Not officially, no. You're doing great. Oh, no, but there are other like there's a one where you have like the guns that you shoot. There's multiple like movement-based like rhythm games of like VR exercise. The thing is just VR. It's pew pew pew. It's going down. Even though like the Zuck keeps investing $3 gazillion into it, it's not doing too hot right now. Rhythm games, at the end of the day, how are you going to compete with Beat Saber? That's a big one. That's the problem, honestly, that most of those VR rhythm games have is Beat Saber exists. And sure, it's a premium game, it costs a lot of money, but it's just a really good VR rhythm game at the end of the day. And like the maze horror, no, not the rhythm horror is like, maybe, like, but it gets darker. How do you do that? I think the sellability of this game is like rock bottom. The marketability probably, because VR games, they do look funny sometimes, could be alright, but I think not that many people can literally just buy this game because they don't have a VR headset.
Yeah. I can see people play this like on stream, but unlike something like UPT, it's not accessible. Yeah. So like we got a lot of conversions for UPT from streamers. Great. I don't think you can do that with something like this because we looked it up, like 2% or something.
Yeah, less than 2% of Steam has a VR headset.
Yeah, so you already annihilate almost everyone.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, do you think this could work if they cut out the VR aspect? Just make it a rhythm horror game?
Like Osu.
That's a psychological horror game. I don't know, I don't feel like Crypt of the Necro Dancer is that much of a horror game of like, oh, I'm going to scary poo-poo. But maybe I feel like that could be something to work.
Yeah, maybe like that could actually work. Like,
it's very much a niche genre, and either that is going to be a massive success, or it's going to be like you get 15 wish lists and then you have to launch your game after half a year of trying to market it.
Yeah.
But still, I think it would be better than going for that VR-based approach.
Yeah, there's a reason we kind of say to stay away from VR, I think.
Yeah. So, not in this reality, this game idea.
Yeah.
Next up, a maze horror game.
Why do people like horror so much?
Because it sells well. A maze horror game where the only source of light is the player's flashlight. The player must escape from the maze by collecting some collectibles before accessing the escape door. This sounds like an asset flip game we could make in a week. Not even a week. Yeah, I'm missing what makes it special.
Yeah.
Because you have a flashlight, wow, that's every horror game. And what, you have to pick up batteries before your flashlight goes dark?
I mean, but you know what? This game is actually technologically really hard. Because by default, the Unity scene has a directional light in it, and you have to disable it. And this is your unique hook. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but it doesn't have to look good because you don't see anything anyway.
Yeah, you can just do a maze generator and then get the SVG and just extrude that in like your Blender software, and bam, you have the maze as well.
F tier take. I wouldn't make it.
It's once again.
How do you sell it?
Like at the end of the day, you have games like media like Maze Runner, which is a horror game set in a maze.
Okay, if
this misses everything basically. It has the setting, but it has no hook. It has no interesting gameplay mechanics.
Yeah. I changed my statement. It's an S tier game if you can get like a movie tie-in game with a Maze Runner.
I think
otherwise it's an F tier game.
No, I think it's more like a D tier. We've definitely had worse ideas.
That's true.
It's just this is like a brain fart of a mechanic or like a setting, but it's missing so much more. It's like this is like you should have written like 2-3 more sentences of hey, once again, what is the maze? Is it like an actual maze like the Minotaur, like Greek mythology? Is it like a maze like space station where it's like an old tech base that like is very hard to navigate? That is what I'm missing as well. Is there a special cool fancy monster that is chasing you? That's very important with horror games as well. No mention of that here. So this needs to cook a lot more.
Yeah,
I think.
It's incomplete.
Because at the end of the day, a flashlight and a maze and a walking thing, you can literally buy Unity assets that have all of that and an inventory and collectibles and all of that integrated already. And you don't have to do anything extra. So this feels like it's not a game really. It's like a tech demo almost. A fast-paced vehicle combat arena shooter featuring a ranked system with upgradable weapons and vehicles. Who wants to race when you can crush your foes and friends in fun game modes across different maps?
I like the way he ended the sentence. Like the pitch.
Yeah, the pitch was
the pitch was better than the idea.
I think the genre is like vehicular combat isn't doing too hot right now.
Yeah, and also the fact that he immediately says basically ranked, so it's multiplayer because you have to crush your foes.
Yeah, then
you need people active.
You need active users. You need players. I think if I think about games similar to this kinda is Robocraft. I don't know if you know it. It's like you build your own little like either flying car or like spaceship or whatever, and then it's a big world and you just fight each other. And I think I haven't played it in like 6 years or something. Don't fire me. But vehicular combat is a genre that used to be big. Games like Crossout, Robocraft, like I said.
I'm thinking Mario Kart with guns.
Mario Kart with guns, but it's not a racing game. It's a shooter, an arena shooter. So it has...
okay, so Balloon Battle in Mario Kart.
I don't know. where you don't actually race, I feel. It's just more driving. I think the closest thing, this is gonna sound dumb, is Rocket League, but you only try to demo like the opponents and not actually score the ball. And you give them guns. There's like a mode called Rumble where you have like a big gun, or like you have like a big fist that you can like knock other people away with. Even there's a few indie games right now that are being made with like a Mad Max style as well, where you like, you know, I forgot the name, but I'll put on some footage probably. You have like more of those like, yeah, not like dystopian, but like post-apocalyptic. You put a just big machine gun on top of car and things like that. Mechanics for like the controls are sometimes hard to get nailed down, and I don't think this is what the market is looking for.
Yeah, I don't think it's what the market is looking for. And games like this, where you require other people to be online,
it's an extra cost. You probably have to price your game lower as well, or even free to play.
And you just won't have the players 9 times out of 10. So if I'm the one person who buys your game, I try it, I just refund it because I can't play it properly.
That's an ethical life pro tip. You take a page from the like .io games book and you just make all of the online players AI bots.
You have to do something like that.
But still, that takes a lot of time and effort and server costs and all of that.
Keep going. You're almost there.
There's
just with another idea, maybe.
You're so horrible. This is what I mean. He hates every idea, basically.
No, maybe I said I liked the dating sim where everything explodes.
Am I too nice? I'm like, yeah, you can tweak this a bit
But you
more.
said the name of the video was roasting. Why would I be nice? You're asking... So basically, I'm doing what you ask of me, and then you're complaining I do what you ask of me.
Okay. This is a game, I forgot the name, but I know it sort of exists. You're a delivery driver for the lost standing cities in the post-apocalyptic America. Avoid and fight off the irradiated and ravagers while upgrading your vehicle in this roguelite procedurally generated open world vehicle delivery game. My god, that last sentence was a mouthful. Let me repeat that one.
Yeah.
A roguelite procedurally generated open world vehicle delivery game. I feel like you can cut a few of those words out.
Yeah, probably. What is the roguelite aspect? Is your car upgradable? Or are you on a unicycle? Is your unicycle
like
upgradable? Oh.
Like you always have a different style of car, like the car is somewhat random, and then it's like at some point you will always get destroyed by the ravagers, and then you just get a new car and you try again. You learn like, oh, certain areas maybe are more difficult to breach into or like more irradiated and things like that. That could be an approach. Viewpoint would be an important one here. Are we looking more from like a top-down strategy game, which is the game that I'm thinking of, but I forgot the name, where it's like you don't actually control the movement and things like that? Or is this actually like an open world 3D like racing, or like not racing, but like car game? Basically like Forza Horizon 5, but with zombies.
That's another thing. It's hard to envision this again, I think.
I have some ideas, but I think the ideas that I have are completely different from what the developer has. This is something with so much room for interpretation.
Yeah, exactly, because you said like a couple of different things. And every time you said something, it's a completely different vision I had in my mind.
Yeah, the moment they say open world, I'm like, I don't know if open world would be...
He's just going to make the Breath of the Wild of delivery games.
But we already have Death Stranding at home. I think this is a better car game than the previous one we covered.
I agree, but I still think it needs work.
It needs, once again, I think I would scope this down a little bit. Either get rid of the... Wait, what was it? It was procedurally generated, but it's America. Like, it's always the same world, no? Or would you be like, oh, certain runs in your roguelite, like Washington is nuked one time, and then the other time it's not, and it becomes like a hub, and then like Denver is doomed or something?
Or they just take like the desert part and just...
It's just
the generated desert.
They just make Desert Bus. It's like the game where it's like you just have to drive straight for 40 hours.
There we go.
Yeah, I would focus a bit more on narrowing down how exactly this game would look. Also, I think visually, if you go for maybe a journey-like cinematic, almost, okay, maybe not journey, but if you go for more of the cinematic Last of Us style visual approach, like marketing could be cool, where it's like, you know, you have that little van that is like all rickety and like there's like some paint of like zombies be gone. I think that could be an interesting one. You know Caravan Sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, like if you can make it look pretty and you just drive around the landscapes, that could be another marketing approach already, where like the roguelite and the like actual like strategy maybe even takes a step back and it's more of a like exploration game. There's so many, like that's...
I like your idea more than his idea.
I think my idea is pretty unmarketable or like unsellable. I don't think it's a good idea, but that's what I mean with these ideas, guys. You can't steal ideas because it's like...
Yeah, you hear
so many
You
varieties.
heard him create 5 games from this one 2 sentence
and probably none of them match what the developer was thinking about.
So we only have like a bit of text. Maybe the developer is watching and is like, I meant this, and it can still be an S tier game.
Maybe he has a full demo or everything already. Who knows? A 5-minute hero, I think that's the name of the game. A roguelike platformer where levels are generated semi-procedurally and you only have 5 minutes to save the princess before the dungeon collapses. Upgrade your hero by collecting loot and skill points between runs to get stronger and faster to complete the dungeon. I don't hate it, except for the part where it's a platformer.
Yeah. Make it something different.
We have an irrational hate towards
like, make it a Metroidvania at least. Okay, not Metroidvania, but like the combat of a Metroidvania. Where you can actually fight, for example.
Yeah, something like a Dead's Door or something could be interesting, which is like the isometric 3D top-down perspective.
Or Dead Cells.
Or Dead Cells, but like, Dead Cells is still 2D. Or side view. True. I would stick away from the side view aspect. Fair. I think the idea of, hey, the first few runs, you're not gonna finish and get to the princess, but then you like upgrade. A big thing that I have here is you need to have enough rooms that like it stays fresh and it's not just always fight 10 minions and then the next room is fight 4 minions that are a bit stronger. But I feel like the rooms itself need to have like multiple unique mechanics that you don't immediately know how it is, that you actually want to keep replaying it for like longer. I think the initial like first half hour here for a player is going to be critical in like how do they experience the first half hour and do they want to keep going. If they can keep going, I think they'll be fine. Yeah,
in general, I'm not against the 5-minute part. I think it's a fun take on
it's
existing.
A good short loop as well.
Yeah, I think if you flesh it out, it's actually a good idea. Just think about your combat and how you do the roguelite part correctly. Because, for example, when we made Sons of Everyday, Never Made, whatever you want to call it, the fun wasn't really there, in my opinion. And we just lacked the execution. And if you did one run, you basically saw everything.
Yeah.
And that's where we really like shit the bed, in my opinion.
Yeah, so more
variety.
More variety. And that takes a lot of time, all the content. It's the big trap with roguelites as well. It's like you need to write so much content and
because
mechanics.
we got our game like working really soon and it's like, oh shit, we need to make 10,000 rooms. We need to make 10,000 enemies.
Maybe I want to take a quick moment here to plug ourselves. If you are like, hey, I have great game ideas, but I wish that these boys could roast my game idea. Good news, we offer that. We have a Patreon. On that Patreon, we have a lot of extra in-depth content about, hey, the more serious parts of game development, marketing and all of that. And there's also a tier where you can simply just book a call with me. And if you're like, hey, Thomas and Marnix, they are having a hoot roasting other people's game ideas, I think there's a lot of value if they could roast my game idea, give some thoughts on like, hey, what should I focus on? I think we can work something out. So there's a link to that down below if you're interested. And let's keep roasting these game ideas. A first-person game where the player visits their childhood home. While everyone is out, they can inspect various items around the house to remember their past. As you uncover items, weird things happen in the house and key items give you playable flashbacks to traumatic events in your past. A horror game investigating trauma and the power of nostalgia. This is basically what remains of Edith Finch, I feel, and Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. These are games that I feel are not ideal for indie devs. I think they are like for solo indie. I'm assuming most of you guys are solo. I think it's hard to make this good, engaging, and market it as well if you're like doing this on a shoestring budget and you're a solo dev and like, yeah, you need to have good music and you need to have like a pretty environment and then like some story writing. That's not crazy, but it's just the scale of all of this to make it be cohesive that I have to struggle with. Also, yeah, marketability. It's hard to sell this to a lot of people, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the game, but I remember at least basically exactly what you described it as.
Yeah, probably What Remains of Edith Finch, where you like walk around in a house and you go back to like previous old memories.
Yeah, so in that regard, I'm not seeing what makes you unique. And if your hook is just, I'm that game, but again.
And probably worse, because What Remains of Edith Finch is a super highly rated game. It's like crazy.
And it's good execution.
Yeah. I think this is an idea that indeed I would put in the freezer and move on from for now.
This time I said it kindly and you went a bit harder.
For good cop, bad cop. Good game dev, bad game dev. The question is...
I think we're both bad game devs.
A real-time strategy/city builder game like Factorio and Shapes.io, where you need to mix colors instead of crafting items. The colors have different effects on the world, e.g. red is explosive and light blue can float. The goal is to fight against black ink swallowing the world. I think this is a great game idea and you should make it.
Yeah, it actually sounds fun. Sounds unique.
It sounds interesting, like an engaging hook where it's like, hey, everything is paint. It's in a good genre. Automation games is a pretty good demand for city builders as well. You basically, in your pitch, you explained the whole thing to me. Like the one question would be 2D or 3D. I would guess for 2D here in this case, but I think it can still work. Honestly,
I like it. So what are we doing? Are we going to make it?
Yes, so I want to announce now, because we got these ideas a few days in advance. Now presenting our next game.
Store page live now. Wishlist.
That would be such a dick move if we actually made this game. No, I think this is a pretty solid idea.
We give you a 2-month head start. If you don't see your store page, we will make it.
This is also not an... Now also like 4 of our viewers are like listening to this like, oh, this is cool, I'll make it first, and now it's just a competition time to market. This next one, I think the title of the game is called Streamer Bait. Like Streamer Space Bait. A fishing game.
S-tier.
Where you enter your catch in an in-game competition where fictional streamers comment on your baiting and casting. Random chance to catch things like boots or landmines. This is so dumb and I love it. It reminds me a bit of the fishing mechanic in, what's the game? Cruelty Squad, where it's so dumb. But especially the idea of like the fictional streamers that like comment on it and the fact that it's fishing, and it's so dumb. It's like...
But there are no bad fishing games.
Yeah, this is like Russian wildlife fishing with like extra like, oh, you have a landmine and then you see like the virtual avatars of the fake streamers. You're like, oh, it's gonna blow.
Yeah.
I think that would...
I think it can be really fun, but you have to ensure that you have enough content.
Yeah, how do you keep it fun, I think is the big problem.
Because it's like, haha, funny, and 10 minutes later it's like, wait, is this it?
Yeah, great, I got another fish. I know in Cruelty Squad you can sell your fish on the stock market, I think. Or like, it's like, they have like some funny things as well. I think you need a bit more depth. Like the hook is solid. The hook and the visuals, I can imagine the game. I think this would be a banger. I think just keeping it for like more than 10 minutes of fun is going to be the harder one.
Because then if like different fish, maybe you make them really wonky, like they have like little mustaches or something.
Yeah, like probably you would need like maybe also...
I would
like,
lean into the silly part for sure.
Yeah, or like maybe even, oh, this is scope creep, like a secondary game loop where you are trying to like, you use the proceeds from the fish to like become your own streamer setup as well.
Yeah, you can post on Fishtagram.
Yes, things like that. I think that would be like where you almost like, you have your idols basically who react to your fishing adventures, and then you start your own little like fishing community, and that would give it more content. It would also give it a shit ton more scope, but I think in the state it is now, it would be too short of a game. Yeah. This would be something you throw on itch.io, and it would get the funnies, but it wouldn't be something that I think you can charge money for.
Unless you flesh it out, find what makes it like lengthy.
Next one. Play as the little cleaning robots like those seen in WALL-E or Star Wars, you know what I mean, right? Like the Roombas.
The mouse droid and so on.
Yeah, cleaning up the ships and space stations after they've been damaged by laser fire and laser swords. Third-person game with multiple levels, various tasks and completion bonuses and unlocks.
Is it Power Wash Simulator in space?
Basically, I think something like that, or like the cleaning games, the crime scene cleaner and things like that. I like the Roomba idea. There's been some games made with, you're not fully original with the Roomba. I know there's like a detective crime game where you also clean up like bloodstains with a little Roomba. It's pretty funny, honestly. I think it could work. The thing is, laser fire and laser swords are like
it's just a theme.
Yeah, I think
it's instead of like a crime scene, it's just in space.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the assets may actually be a problem here. Getting enough assets and like making the assets fit together. Because space, like sci-fi bases, there's no big amount of assets. So you would probably have to do quite a lot of this yourself. Also the way that you clean up the stains and things like that. Would you, I assume you'll have things like I can upgrade my Suck 3000 to the
Suck 4000.
To the Scrub 4000 or something. I think there are some things there that do make sense. The question is also, how do you make money? Because you're a robot with no feelings and you're just indentured in like till the end, or are you working for some space hippies who will like pay you? Are you sentient? There's a lot of questions still that I think need to be answered.
I think some of the questions are a bit less relevant, like, are you a sentient robot? But some of them are valid.
No, I think, are you a sentient robot? Like, it could work if you go into the comic aspect.
But maybe you're just someone with a remote control of the robot.
Oh, that's also an idea. Or you have like a little mason jar with a human brain on it and the middle of the robot. Sentience matters, because otherwise you would not play as the robot maybe, but you would play as the guy controlling multiple robots. Like the true janitor who has like 5 robots and then like, oh, the space station expands.
Yeah, that's also true, because he did say third person and you're a robot.
Yeah, and that's the thing, so I would assume you have autonomy to a certain degree then, but you also probably don't want to get recycled if you don't do your job well.
What about it's just, you don't control it. It's just an actual room and it just autopilots and you just watch.
Where is the gameplay? This is like the raw dogging simulator.
Basically. Like, isn't there the game Watching Paint Dry?
Yeah, stuff like that, where
there
you just do nothing. I don't think those are good games to sell, though. I think we've definitely devolved the game idea with that approach.
This is not advice.
It's a good idea. It needs a bit more questions answered, I think, but this can definitely work, I think.
Yeah.
Also, Roombas are just so funny. Like, you put like googly eyes on Roombas, or you put like a cat on a Roomba, like marketability-wise, I think you should be pretty solid as well.
Yeah.
So...
Especially if like some things can maybe like fall on it and then you can like take it with you.
Yeah, maybe. Or you can like decorate your Roomba with like little stickers.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of custom skins, microtransactions.
You can have the workshop, like custom made Roombas, so I can make my Shrek Roomba.
Add some nitro to it.
Yeah, so you can go quicker.
I think we're getting somewhere. Anyway, so the next game idea is an NSFW escape room. First person, it's a normal escape room type interactions, but the puzzles are all naughty.
Why wouldn't I want to escape then?
Oh, there is, but it's like, oh no, I need the key to unlock this door. Oh look, there is this conveniently shaped round hole that is like 1 meter above the ground. I wonder what would unlock it. I don't know. NSFW. Good.
I think NSFW works in a lot of genres, but I think mixing it with an escape room is weird.
Maybe it could be like
people who...
No.
But people who play the NSFW games don't want to escape from it.
Remember the one at Tokyo Game Show? You kind of have to escape from the crazy girl.
Oh,
it's also kind of an escape room, I guess. But yeah, you have that problem of why do I want to escape? If I can get the Dead by Snoo Snoo, I'll take the Dead by Snoo Snoo. So
Marnix 2024.
I'm not fully sold on this one.
Yeah, I think in general we will probably find an audience. I just maybe think we're not the right audience and we don't appreciate it fully.
Maybe, but I think it's also...
We should pitch it to William.
Maybe he'll get better ideas, but I don't know. Speaking of ideas for William, he would like bust a nut, I feel, if we pitch this one. Shadow of the Colossus, but with a human ninja character trying to defeat a giant Gundam in a city.
I think it could be really fun.
I think the issue is just the art direction is so massive.
Yeah.
Like literally, because your massive Gundam Shadow of the Colossus is a beautiful game at the end of the day.
With the original isn't?
Okay, but the mechanics take a step back almost, and the visuals take the lead.
Yeah. So what I'm basically envisioning is Shadow of the Colossus and things like Monster Hunter, where you can like, jump on monsters and so on.
Those, or like a Titanfall.
I think to make it really fun and engaging, it's really hard to do.
I think it's not.
I think there's a reason.
Indie game, yeah.
It's very like. I can only name 2 in this case. I think there's a reason it's so rare.
I think the hook is alright. The hook is good. Yeah. And this is marketing. It looks really cool. It's also like the Nier Automata. You have like those giant structures. But the games we're talking about now, they're like double A, triple indie, triple A games. Like
just get like a couple of million in funding and you can do it.
This is not something if you are like John the coder, software dev who has 20 hours a week to work on this game, this is not the game for you to make.
Yeah.
If you have like a few people and you have that art focus first, then yeah, sure. But otherwise, I think I would stay away from this. And then we come to our last game idea.
Is it the best one yet?
Yeah, it's actually our upcoming game idea. No, it's not. It's an adventure survival game set in modern-day Alaska. You have several modern conveniences like guns and buying things, but you need money and food from the forest around you. I assume with money and food that the money doesn't grow on trees, but like you have to go chop trees or something.
But chopping trees gives you wood, not money.
Yeah, but then you sell the wood because you have the modern convenience. Like,
but if it's a survival game, aren't you alone?
I think it's less of a survival game and more of like a simulator game. Like, what is it? Alone in the Dark is like truly survival, but more also like, hey, you live in the Alaskan outback and you have your little city and you have your cabin and you need to drive your Ford F-150 from the cabin to the city and you need to make money and things like that. It becomes more of a life sim, an immersive sim than a true survival game. At the end of the day, life is a survival game. Every time I leave my house to find like the nearest McDonald's to get nuggies, I'm surviving. But I think here the focus is less on the survival aspect and more on like, I think the term you're looking for is like simulator. and things like that.
Yeah, or if you actually want to go the survival route, it's fine, but I would just get rid of everything money related. And then just focus on food, resources, so you have to like do some base building. So you have to like create your camp
build your
to
own
make
little
it
cabin
easier.
log and things like that.
Yeah, like Minecraft, but in Alaska.
I think that could work better at least. Those were your sucky ideas. We got a lot more, but this video already took almost over 45 minutes to record in total, which is too much. So I hope this was still interesting. Let us know in the comments down below, what are your favorite game ideas? Which are the ones that you would steal? What are some aspects that you feel like, hey, this was really interesting? And what were the ones like, hey, yeah, no, Marnik, you're really dumb. Sonic treadmill VR sim, it would bang.
And if you have any ideas you want to share with us so we can roast it maybe in a future video, there's a form. We will post it somewhere. You will post it, he will do it.
We'll probably wait a moment.
Yeah, it's not going to be immediately, but we'll probably revisit
this. Yeah, or maybe even as a live stream or something.
Yeah, for example, just make sure you're subscribed. You'll get the notifications. It's fine.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to roast us for our sucky game ideas, because we do have games coming up, yeah, stick around.
Yeah, or just buy our games and then roast them. That's the true approach.
Yeah, but first play them for 2 hours so you can't refund.
Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.